Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our quarterly Entrepreneurial Legacy Forum. The theme for today's panel is Young Moguls Making Moves. My name is Kim Arnold. I'm the Community Programs Manager here at Motown Museum. And now that you know who I am, let us know who you are in the chat. Introduce yourself. We'd love to see where you're all joining us from and how old you are. Now, I do want to note there will be time for Q&A toward the end. So as we hear from our panelists, if you think of a question, just send it to us using the Q&A feature. And if one of your questions is how do we support these young moguls that you're about to meet, don't worry, we have you covered. We'll share details on just how to support toward the end, so just stay tuned. We've got a lot of great information to share with you all today. So before we jump in and get right to it, I want to share a brief video to show you who we are, what Motown Museum is. And after the video, we will have the pleasure of hearing from our Director of Programming and Education, Emily Harper.
As an undeniable force of social and cultural change, Berry Gordy's legendary Motown Records made its mark not just on the music industry, but on society at large. With a sound that has become one of the most significant musical accomplishments and success stories of the 20th century, Motown, of course, stands for more than just the classic music. The label and its remarkable legacy is a reflection of the hard work of dedicated individuals overcoming incredible obstacles to achieve great success. Over a half-century ago, a young African-American songwriter named Berry Gordy turned an $800 loan from his family savings club into a historic music empire, which became the largest manufacturer of 45 RPM records in the world and one of the most influential entertainment enterprises of our time. When Motown was housed in its famed Hitsville, USA offices in Detroit, it was not just a location. History would be made there. Berry Gordy created a 24-hour hit-making and artist development factory, nurturing the artistic talent of the singers, the songwriters, producers, and the corporate executives. Despite the passage of time since Motown Records' establishment, millions of visitors have passed through Hitsville, USA, home to the Motown Museum, founded by Esther Gordy Edwards in 1985. Their presence is a testimony to Motown's legacy and to the charisma and talent of the music and those who made it. Home to Studio A, an extensive array of Motown artifacts, photographs, and other memorabilia, the museum's purpose is to protect and preserve the Motown legacy. Part of this role is to continue sharing the rich history of the family that helped shape that legacy, the Gordy family. The Entrepreneurial Legacy Forum, the reason we're all tuning in today, provides the opportunity to highlight and celebrate the same entrepreneurial spirit that the Gordy family had. These quarterly forums will bring together a series of thought leaders from around the country to exchange views on leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Focused on providing a platform for all people to flourish as thinkers, creators, and entrepreneurs, Motown Museum's cornerstone is to cultivate the next generation of talent and entrepreneurs.
Good morning. My name is Emily Harper. I am the Director of Programming and Education here at Motown Museum. I'm here to welcome you today on behalf of the museum and to extend a very special thank you to tuning in to today's Entrepreneurial Legacy Forum. The museum is committed to preserving, protecting, and presenting the Motown story through authentic and inspirational educational experiences. Built on Motown Museum's rich history of interactive exhibits, accessible education and community engagement programming, and the work of Hitsville Next, the first phase in our expansion project will further cement Motown's role in providing access to the resources for budding artists and entrepreneurs of all ages and diverse backgrounds in order to actively participate in the life of Motown right here in Detroit. So today's panel of remarkable entrepreneurs is a true testament, and we are just honored to have them join us here today. I'm excited to learn from these entrepreneurs and hear their stories, and I'm sure you are too. So let's get to it. Kim?
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for joining us this morning. We know behind every successful mogul is a kid who grew up knowing they were born for the business. And long before Berry Gordy was running one of the most successful Black-owned companies of a generation, he was flexing his entrepreneurial skills by selling newspapers, he was an assembly line worker, and he even pursued a featherweight boxing career. But what does it take to develop a successful business as a kid, and what does it take to make it as a young mogul? Today's forum was designed to shine a light on those two questions and to give us an inside look on an entrepreneur's journey to success by having successful young moguls join us from around the US. And to honor these entrepreneurs, we thought it only made sense to have a young mogul herself host today's panel. Actress Leah Jeffries will be our hostess with the mostest. So without further ado, Leah, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your entrepreneurial journey?
Hey guys, I am Leah Jeffries. As you know, I was Lola from Empire back then when I was a little younger. And also I was Erica Little World Howie's daughter, play daughter on Rel. And also I was in Faith Under Fire, which was supposed to be a shooting inside of the school to show how bad this is. And pretty much, and also I am CEO of Leah Jeffries Inc. And I am very excited to host today's panel to have the opportunity to chat with fellow young moguls. And as host, I have the honor to introduce our panels to you all. Today we will chat with Corey Neves, owner and chef of Mr. Corey's Cookies, which is very good. Kamaria Warren, which was CEO of Brownville Stationery. That's very good for us. And Sebastian Martinez, CEO of Are You Kidding Socks, and his brother, Brandon Martinez, Director of Sales, Are You Kidding Socks. Time to hear from our panelists. Corey, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
Sure. My name is Mr. Corey, CEO and founder of Mr. Corey's Cookies. I started my own cookie company when I was 6 years old. We sell all-natural cookies all over the world, chocolate chip, creamsicle, double dark, all natural, and they're very delicious.
Now that I know that sounds very good and probably will look very good. Making me hungry. Kamaria,
Thank you.
from you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
My name is Kamaria Warren. I'm 11 years old and I'm in the 7th grade. Brown Girl Stationery is a business that I started when I was 7 years old because I couldn't find party supplies that looked like me in stores. So my mom helped me create my first product and it's launched from there.
Great. Now that is very heartwarming because us brown skinned girls like us, some stuff still happened from back in the day, and that's very sad. But we know that we got this together, so pretty much. And now, and last but not least, Sebastian and Brandon, can you introduce yourselves? Like, Sebastian, let's start with you.
So hi, my name is Sebastian Martinez. I'm the CEO of Are You Kidding Socks, and I'm 12 years old.
And I'm Brandon Martinez, the Director of Sales for Are You Kidding Socks, and I'm 15 years old. We started our company around 7 years ago because my brother always had a passion for socks. He loved it. Our grandma would get him socks every day since he worked for Nordstrom, and he just loved it. So one day, my mom asked him, hey, want to start your own sock company? And he rushed to the table, started designing socks, and we launched from there.
Yeah, and we also partnered up with a lot of charities so we could help give back to those who are in need. And we also have a couple socks here. We have the breast cancer, the stand up to cancer one,
The Autism Speaks,
and the JDRF, which is for type 1 diabetes.
Now that is amazing. And as myself, I love socks. And also it's getting cold outside, so pretty much we all need them. And that is very good to stand up to cancer and autism because people out here, like, it's very sad what they have, and we just need to stand up to them and help them with that. So now, everyone, can we see what our panelists truly are mogul making moves? Starting a business can be a scary jump. Deciding what products, finding customers, there's so much that goes into it. Kamaria, what made you wake up one day and just want to start your own business? Like, what inspired you? Like, who influenced you to get you started?
Well, my mom has always been a huge inspiration when it comes to the entrepreneurial path. She's had several businesses in the past, and she also has one currently. So I've always wanted to follow in her path and to show her that I could be just like her. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I was doing was a problem that I was solving for like all brown girls so they won't have to go through what I'm going through. So I wanted to make sure this is going to be very special. So my mom has been a huge inspiration for this. She helped me launch my first product and designed it for me. And she really helps me get the publicity and the credits I need.
That is very heartwarming and very smart of you to do that because I just love it very much. And Corey, what about you? What inspired you to get started? Like, why cookies?
Well, I started cookies because me and my mom, we first started selling hot chocolate in the winter time, and then we switched over to cookies because cookies is an all seasonal thing. And people just started living our cookies and just went on like that.
Now that is good too. I also love raisin cookies like a lot. Like if I go anywhere, I always ask them, "You got raisin cookies?" But you never know. And Brandon and Sebastian, what inspired you? Why was it socks that you decided to create? Brandon, let's start with you.
Well, again, my brother always had a passion for socks. Every time our grandma would give him socks because he just loved socks. He had a whole thing of socks just ready. You open it, boom, socks pop out. So he always had a passion for that, and that's how we basically got the idea for our company.
Yeah, we started working with charities because we never know. And plus, you just, after you give back to those in need, you just have that feeling in your heart, like you're proud of yourself. And we just love giving to those in need because we know people have it way worse than us. And you never know if one day we'll need help.
Great. And like really, I truly love socks. And just like when you open up drawers for him and it pops out, like literally, I literally have like 3 drawers. Barely almost have clothes and stuff like most of the time. But like I love it, love it, and like very much decorated socks, don't matter. Also, I set annual goals for myself as an entrepreneur. Corey, can you tell us what your first goal was once you got started? Like, what was that first milestone you were looking to, or that you were looking to or hoping to accomplish?
When we first started, the biggest challenge and milestone that we were looking forward to was basically going online and finding a way to ship our product all over, the country and the world, which we have done now. Because our products are, not shelf stable, we don't put any preservatives in them, so it's pretty hard to do. So that took a lot of time and, hard work and dedication, but we finally got it.
Okay, Kamaria, what about you? What were you trying to accomplish? Like, what got you started?
What got me started was I noticed that a lot of things that I saw in stores were either too young or too old for me at the time. And I was turning 8, so I wanted to be, because I was going to 4th grade, due to me going to school at an early age, I wanted to kind of fit in with the girls that were in 4th grade and not seem so childish. So I was like, I need something that looks like me and just fits in with me and it like actually represents me. And there's not a lot of things that you can actually find that represent my skin color. And I wanted to make sure that other girls were able to find things that represented their skin color as well.
That is amazing. Just like I said all the other times, that was very amazing. Now, Sebastian, what was your goal?
Well, our goal was to put smiles on people's faces just by making long, cool, and funky socks. Because, people just wear like regular white socks, and that's boring. You want to make it a little fun, so you could get these socks, and they're very creative too. So, like, we have googly eyes, hands. We have a lot of many more socks. But our goal was to just put smiles on people's faces.
And another goal we had was to make our name heard. Like, we want people to think of Are You Kidding Socks and be like, wow, those socks are amazing. We just want to get our brand out there.
Okay, great. And Brandon, as the director of sales, what were you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I was hoping to accomplish like people knowing my name, like, hey, that's a good salesman there. Like I sell socks, and the customers go to my mom and say, "Hey, you got a nice director of sales over there." It's pretty much my goal, be a good salesman.
Okay, and that's very great because again, I love socks. So Corey, when Mr. Corey's Cookies first started, were you selling hot cocoa, and what inspired your transition into cookies and expanding your line of products?
Well, yeah, when we first started, we focused on hot chocolate, because it was the winter time, and then summertime we usually made lemonade. But it was ongoing. It was mostly like the challenge of, keeping two products at the same time. So we focused on doing cookies because it's all seasonal thing, and not a lot of people started doing cookies when we first started. So that's when we, started to focus on cookies, and it's gonna take off. Pretty awesome.
Good, and I love lemonade too. I actually love a lot of
Thank
stuff. And Kamaria, you started to expand your product line as well. What motivated you to include STEM-related designs?
Well, recently I learned that there's other jobs other than like the main ones you see, and especially that includes STEM. And I also go to a STEM school now, so it really opened my eyes to other things that brown girls do with STEM. And I just love using STEM and things. I might not be the best in math, but I really am interested in those STEM positions, and I want to make sure that people are also knowing that there's other jobs other than your main jobs, like being a doctor. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody could see themselves on an image.
Perfect, thank you. And again, I'm sorry, like I don't even know what to say. Like this is very amazing what you guys are doing and stuff. And as we learned in the video, Barry Gordy had to borrow $800 from his family to start his business. Sebastian, how did you fund your startup and grow your business?
Well, how we started is, well, we didn't really have a touchscreen computer, and we started with money, but like not that, very little. But we just started from crayons and paper, and we just started designing. And then we manufactured it, and that's how we started growing our business. And we started manufacturing them and then selling them, and then making the sales back to manufacturing socks, so then we could produce more socks.
Great.
And our mom also had contacts since she worked at a publishing company. So she had a lot of contacts with manufacturers. So that's how we got all of her socks. And if we didn't have that, we would probably be in a harder position because we had to go out and actually find. But yeah, that's basically how we started.
That is actually very good. I started doing a little bit of my stuff like when I was like 4 or so. Like I was just putting on them little white shirts and stuff and used to color over it. Man, little me. But now, Kamaria, what about you? How did you fund your startup?
When we first started, we did book bags and notepads. Notepads were made at home while we got manufacturers to do book bags. So the two people that really helped me get money to start it up was my mom and my grandma, because my mom showed me how to make the stuff and be able to get manufacturers to actually buy, and my grandma was able to donate money for it. And I did not really know what I was doing because the only business I've actually owned before this was a lemonade stand. And, that's kind of easy. And my grandma really made the lemonade, and I just forced people to buy it in the neighborhood. So it was really my mom and my grandma who helped me do it and just get the money to actually get manufacturers and be able to buy the materials for my business.
Great. I'm gonna have to actually buy some of this stuff. Actually, not might. I will buy some of this stuff. And hope he wasn't forcing too much, like, buy this, buy that. But very funny. But also, Corey, how did you fund Mr. Corey's Cookies?
Well, when we first started Mr. Corey's Cookies, we didn't, have any too much money at all, so we just self-funded. And then after, a few months getting into it, we set up a GoFundMe, an Indiegogo, Kickstarter, got some small raising from that. And then after that, we went on a profit, got some funding from him, and then, now on, that's it.
Great, very great. Switching gears for a second, because we can't have brothers on our panel and not talk about this partnership came to be. Sebastian, as CEO, what made you want to bring your brother on board? Because, if it was me and my brother, child, I would have not survived.
Yeah, so why I wanted to bring my brother on board is because we started this company at a very young age. I was 6. So as I said, we had this event. That was our first event actually, and we were selling socks. I was by myself for me and my mom, for probably an hour, but my mom noticed that I wasn't doing that good at selling. So my mom told my dad to bring him over. And as soon as he got here, he just started selling away. So that's what made me want to bring him to the company.
Yeah, because I wasn't shy as a little kid. I always wanted to talk to people. Like I would just go up to random strangers and be like, hey, hello, and just go up and just talk. So I was really good at talking and speaking. So I just went and tried my best to sell.
Great. And Brendan, what made you want to join Sebastian on this entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I thought it was a fun experience. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And ever since that, I've been part of the company.
And speaking to partnerships, it's so important for kids to support kids and to create a network of support. Sebastian or Brandon, can you tell us more about your kids helping kids in Tatum and how this came about?
So we do the Kids Helping Kids with schools. Like we saw the Stand Up to Cancer socks last year, and we have something called the Sock Hop. It's the last Friday of September where we dance in our socks in honor of those who are battling cancer. But now that schools have closed, not all schools, but some schools closed down because of the coronavirus, we haven't been able to do that much. But we're still doing that, on Instagram, teaching you what autism is, what cancer is. So it's just very important to educate kids on what type of disabilities are. So one day maybe they could help donate.
And our Kids Helping Kids initiative, basically what we want to do is inspire kids to help and give back to the community and also inspire other kids to do the same. So that's basically what our Kids Helping Kids initiative is all about.
That is very great, because also my brother, he started off acting before me because I was still young, and then after when I started growing up, I started following after him, and I started acting too, and then we became actors, and I was on Empire, and he was doing commercials, and then my dad started acting on commercials too, and then me and my mom was in commercials too and things, and it was very good about how we both followed and both supported each other. Now, while we're on the topic of kids helping kids, Kamaria, you started Brown Girl Stationery so other kids who look like you could feel represented. Why was this important to you? How do you keep your customers?
Well, when I look around in my community, when I see disabilities and I just see maybe albino or vitiligo, I want to make sure that I ask my customers what do they want to see in my products. And I also have just started doing reels on Instagram because I see how popular it is, and it's also getting a lot of recognition and also getting to get to know my customers. And I'm also going to start doing the this or that quizzes on Fridays for my customers to see what they actually like. And I also like to go live and do a Q&A. And even now without COVID, if COVID wasn't here, I would usually, when I see customers, I remember the first time I've ever met one of my customers was at a model thing. I believe it was a fashion show. I interviewed her and she became my brand ambassadors. And I also call my customers my besties because they are really like family, and I like to send them emails and just be super nice to them.
Good. Now, also, I'm not really selling anything right now, but I guess to my dog, I'm selling stuff to her because I could barely find anything. I buy something, the next day it's gone. I buy another thing, it's gone. I guess I'm selling to her without any money. So, now, and Corey, I see on your Twitter, you tweet 6 possible impossible things, and now you're encouraging other kids to do the same. Why do you do this? Can you give us an example of an impossible thing that came true?
Yeah, I got it from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So basically dream 6 impossible things. And then I always start saying that. So it's on my cookie box and everything. Actually, right here, dream 6 impossible things. So that's the number one thing I always do.
And you can't make impossible things come true without having in your corner who help you. Kim, can we hear from our panelist support system?
Absolutely. We've already heard so much from our young moguls, how they lean on their networks to help them succeed like every entrepreneur does. So we'd be remiss to not hear from the people who support our young moguls. We do have the moms of some of our entrepreneurs with us today, but before we bring them in, I do just want to pick our young moguls' brains just a little bit more because I mean, you all are doing some like very phenomenal things at 16, Kamari. Like you're all so young. When I was 16, I can't think anything was like important to me outside of playing soccer. So like the fact that your brains are just like so forward thinking already is incredible. So I want to just kind of dive in there a little bit more. Like, what is it like for you being a young mogul? Like, what is it, Corey? What is it like to be 16 and own a business like this and have to be in charge of choosing cookie flavors or figuring out, like Kamaria, you said you use a lot of social media. Like, what is it like being the one in charge, like being the big shot, calling those shots? Corey, can you talk to it?
Sure. It's pretty fun, being a CEO and talking with people, talking with big CEOs and everything because I'm a kid. So, when you go to the boardroom or something and you talk to a CEO who's been doing it for years and years, you have to like, do, more stuff and, it's pretty, nervous and everything. So it's pretty fun. It's a cool experience to have. And it's also like a good experience to have. So when I'm growing up and an adult, I have all the experience I have in my hand and I'm ready for the real world, I guess.
And so, although I know that's like awesome, but there's got to be some like things that like, I kind of don't want to do this today. Like, what's the hardest thing about being a young entrepreneur?
The hardest thing about being a young entrepreneur is people not taking you serious, like adults and everything. And also like you're also a kid, so you have your kid life and then you also have your business life. So people don't understand that a lot because you want to have fun and everything, but you also have to go back and do this business. So you're like, oh man, should I do this? But it's pretty fun and it's basically it's nervous and hard thing to do, but it's awesome.
Just finding a way for that it works for you, being able to still be a kid, but also be in those boardrooms and be with the rest of the CEOs. Kamaria, what about you? Like, what is it like for you being a young entrepreneur?
Well, being an entrepreneur sometimes can be very hard and tricky because you want to make sure that if your orders are even a day late, you want to make sure that you get it out as fast as possible, especially when you're being featured on things. Orders come in really fast, and I want to make sure people are coming back. But being an entrepreneur is pretty easy. It's sometimes hard managing time with school, but now with COVID, it's a bit easier because school ends around 2:30, 3, and then at real school, my mom works at my school, so she would sometimes have to stay for basketball games, and I would be late for dance classes that was at 5 and end at 8. Then I would have to make sure that I have to find somehow to work on my business, even if it's during dismissal at school. So I make sure that I need to manage my time, do my homework on time, get orders out on time, and make sure I'm doing reels and photo photography.
So it's sounding like a little bit of a trend here that although it's great being a young entrepreneur, there is a little bit of like finding the balance between still being able to be a kid. So Brandon and Sebastian, what about you? Like, what is it like for both of you? And either of you can start, but I do want to hear from both of you.
We'll try to balance out our regular life and business life. Like we're pretty pressed for time sometimes. Like today, we're doing this, but like after this, I have a basketball game, so I just have to manage my time correctly and try my best to fit everything in between.
And as he said, it's very hard to balance, having a business and also your kid life because you have school. We also get easily distracted, so like we could be working on it for a long time and then just probably take like a 10-minute break, just because we're kids and we're not like as focused as adults, but I think we can still manage it. But I have basketball. I had basketball this morning, but now I don't have anything, so I'll probably do something like I have to I'll probably work on a design today, or like think of one.
And I know you spoke about like needing to take that 10-minute break. I actually do that too. Anytime I work on anything for too long, like my brain just needs like a cleanser. Like I need to just not do that anymore. So that's not even just because you're a kid. That's you being smart and just giving yourself like time to just kind of relax. So yeah, that's definitely not a kid thing. That's a smart thing. But I guess I do want to hear, because I know you guys spoke about like kind of the challenges in hearing the life balance, but like, what is it like for you to own your own business?
Well, it's pretty cool because it also sets us up for our future. So we're already gonna have something planned out for the future. We're gonna have a job, and we're gonna be the boss of it. Basically, we don't have to work for someone else. We're working for ourselves, and it's just helping us for a future.
Yeah, and hopefully we could continue our company until and forever. Hopefully we could pass it down. If we have kids, we could pass it down to them. And we just want to have this company running forever. And it's been a journey, but it's really fun to have a company. But even though there's like ups and downs, we still love it.
And all journeys are roller coasters. So everything comes with, whatever comes with good, bad is probably going to come around too. It's just kind of the game of life. So everyone, what are some of the fears you had to overcome to start like becoming an entrepreneur and starting this journey? Kamaria, let's start with you.
Can you repeat that, please?
Oh yeah. So like, what are some of the fears you had to overcome when you were getting Brown Girl Stationery off the ground and like kind of just starting to become an entrepreneur?
Well, one of the fears, my biggest fear when I first started, was I was scared people weren't going to like it or have terrible criticism on it, saying that it was a bad idea that I was doing it. And that did happen, but I never really look at the bad things. I always look at the positive side to it. So when I think about the negative comments, I'm like, well, that's okay, because I know that there's plenty of other girls who feel the same way that I feel and are glad that I'm doing it. So when I first started, I would say the criticism was the hardest.
And that's tough because people can be like kind of harsh and a little hardcore, but the way you said you focus on the positives, like that's also a great way to, some of the criticisms, you can kind of just turn those into like constructive criticism and kind of turn that into a positive. So you like, they're all little learning lessons. Corey, what about you? What were some of the fears you had to overcome?
Some fears that's overcome when I first started was let me see. I guess, talking with people, but I overcame it really fast, because I talked with like a lot of people more. I guess also talking stages and everything, different things like that.
Awesome. Leah, what fears, I know, or at least I couldn't imagine being an actress. My memory is trash. I could not imagine having to memorize an entire script. So I know and I know you said your brother was doing it first, but there still had to be some scary things in like getting started. So what fears did you have to overcome?
Something that I really had to overcome was my acting too. Is that like with like I could like say like if you like when you listen to music and stuff, like the words and you're like, oh yeah, I know the words, and when you're looking at movies, you know those words and stuff. That's because your mind is already like getting used to it and you watch a lot. But when you automatically have to look at something and like look at a big paragraph and just automatically like keep looking at it, because I had a script where it was just like all paragraphs of me. It took like, I mean, since I practiced a lot, it only took me about like 20 minutes just to memorize the whole page of that. But like back then when I was a little kid, it took me almost an hour to get only one word right. So it took me a lot to get through that. And also when I got Empire, like I was really scared. Like my parents and my brother, they was like, you can do this. Just remember, like, even though you're a little kid, just make sure that you get the word. Like, you only have a few words, so it's good. But as you can, perfect. Remember when I came in with Raven Simone, when she was like, she wanted to meet her daddy, and I was singing that song, and I was like, da 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 bills. Actually, the part when I said I actually forgot the part, but she actually added it for me to be like, come on, you got this, and they still put it in the TV show. So I was like, oh, okay, so. And but I actually I messed up though. They didn't want to record it over again, but I guess we still did that. So that's what I overcome, and now I just do acting.
And sometimes people love bloopers, and they can be worked into the script. So you just gotta roll with the punches, roll with the flow. You never know what's gonna be edited in or not. Brandon, Sebastian, what fears did you two have to overcome?
Well, the fear of failure, because you never know if it's gonna be good, it's gonna be bad, is it just gonna go downhill, or is it gonna work? You don't know, so you just have to always have that in your head. But it also pushes you to work harder so you don't fail and you succeed.
And another failure is the fear of people not liking our socks. It's because if people don't like it, then we're not gonna get any sales. Then as Brandon said, we're gonna fail. And we just hope that everyone likes socks, and hopefully we could make them smile by putting some cool funky socks in their feet. So that's one fear.
And honestly, I mean, doing anything new is really scary. So these fears, like, they make sense. They're rooted. It's what's going to come with it. But in doing something like this, making this type of jump, it's kind of vulnerable. Like, you're putting yourself out there. But look, like, how successful you guys all became from taking that leap, being vulnerable. So for everyone watching, you're doing something and you're vulnerable doing it, you're outside of your comfort zone, you're in the right space. So just stay there, see it through. You'll be just like these young moguls that we have here. So Kamaria, earlier you were speaking about how you talk to your customers to see what they like, and that's a way to kind of like retain customers and keep them coming back. But Mr. Corey, do you do anything similar? Like, how do you keep customers coming back, and how do you find customers?
Well, a good place to start is marketing, social media, ads. It's always good to keep, going on TV, social media, different ads like that, because marketing is the number one thing you need for your business. You have to spend the most money on marketing. People think that's a lot of money, but it's actually not. You could get a billboard nowadays, from Blimp for like $10, and it's easy to start marketing. So it's the best thing to do.
And Kamaria, how do you find new customers? So, like, I know you keep your customers by seeing what they want, but how do you even go out and find them in the first place?
Well, finding customers is sometimes hard because you don't really know if everyone likes the same things. But before COVID, vending always helped. We did a giveaway, and it was funny because one of our products says, "Hey Sunshine," in like a little, I forgot what it's called, but it says, "Hey Sunshine." And we met a girl whose name was Sunshine. And well, her nickname was Sunshine. And she was actually the giveaway winner. And she was so happy. She cried at the vending thing because she was so happy that she won it. It didn't look like her, but she really liked it because it still represented her. But finding new customers now is a bit easier with COVID, because sometimes everyone pretty much wants digital products now because they're a bit scared of what might happen. And then now with school, some parents are having difficulty teaching their kids or helping them out with homework because they probably didn't learn it when they were in school. So we do digital ABC cards and things they can print at home. So it's a bit easier with doing products and just making sure that you're posting every day and just doing things that are just fun for your customers and going live.
Awesome. Brandon, Sebastian, what about you?
So how we keep customers is by making new designs, and because no one's just gonna buy the same pair of socks over and over unless they really like it. And also by working with new charities, because we know everyone just likes seeing kids helping people, so they might just check out the new charities. Also by making socks of what people like very like people like race cars, so we made a race car sock that got a lot of sales. So we just got to make what people like.
Another way we get a lot of customers is by going to events and selling, because not many people just search up "Are you kidding" socks on their computer. So we actually go out and speak to people and sell socks there and hand out flyers, so they will always come back to the website and check us out. And also ads on like Instagram, Facebook, that also helps get a lot more customers. And also going on TV, like when we went on Good Morning America, we got a lot of sales after that because a lot of people found out about us, and because it really expanded us to a new audience. So that's
really like getting yourself out there and getting your face and brand name out there. is what really helps.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So Moguls, I have like a two-part question for you before we bring the moms in and we can hear from them. So first, Leah, what is your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject, um, okay, so like it's kind of hard because I kind of like every single one of them, but like, can I pick two kind of because it's very hard. But like, science and social studies, like my very favorite. And the reason why is because science. I mean, like my uncle Javon. He's also like the owner of Exotic Zoo. He has all these animals, and I'm so scared whenever he brings them. And I'm like, oh gosh, no. But my science teacher, Mr. Cosman, he brought some cockroaches in for science, and I know it's very frightening, but I have a video of me being so scared. I was like, please get away from me, please get away from me. And it was just crawling on my hand. Ooh, it was a hissing cockroach from Madagascar. But also social studies. I also love social studies, not just because they don't give that much homework. It's just because I just love social studies and how they teach about all the past and stuff. So pretty much.
So with science and social studies being your favorite subjects, did you learn any lessons from those two subjects that you were able to apply in your acting career, or really any lessons in school that you were able to help apply?
Actually, yes, from science. Like if I ever have like an acting audition or something, and it has to do with a lot of animals. Mr. Cosman, he has a lot of animals. Like I forgot one of them, but he has turtles. He has a very little small bunny rabbit kind of. I said bunny rabbit, like a small bunny. And it's so cute. We named it Cookie though. Even though it's a boy. And he has a dragon lizard, and so like if I ever have like an acting thing like that, and I'm always ready to be prepared with it. So
I wish your science teacher was watching right now to let them know, or let him know that he has made an impact in your acting career. Kamaria, what about you? What is your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject right now is social studies. My mom used to think it was ELA because she was an ELA teacher, but that changed over the years. But I like learning about my history and the past events that happened. I don't know why, I just find them very interesting to see what happened before I was born. So I just like social studies a lot.
So were you able to take anything you've learned through social studies or any other lessons or subjects in school to help with your business?
Well, social studies is a huge impact on my business actually, because when I learned about past events, I want to make sure that they don't actually reoccur. And then I just read things about other entrepreneurs that were here before me, especially because if you hear their journey, it's similar to mine, or I can help raise awareness for things like that.
That's very smart, being able to use, history tends to repeat itself as well. So if you're using that to help build your business, you're going to already be prepared when the history comes right back around. Mr. Corey, what about you? What's your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject in school is history, math, and what's it called? Photoshop. Digital art.
And I'm sure visual arts, but were any of your those subjects, were you able to learn any lessons to apply to your business?
I guess actually no, not really.
I'm shocked. I kind of thought visual arts, or at least maybe math, with helping with
maybe like Photoshop, but
Mhm.
school really doesn't really teach you about the business world and everything. Maybe math and stuff, but I like to learn from other people who own businesses. Not really like read books and stuff. I'm more of a hands-on learner. So.
I'm the same way, which is why I love panels like this, because it's like a different way to learn. You're able to learn from other people's experiences. Because I'm the same way. Like I need to talk to people. I need to hear their stories and figure out what was going on, how you did this. So yeah, I'm the exact same way. Yeah. And then Sebastian, what about you? What's your favorite subjects?
My favorite subject, it was actually an elective. It's called Broadcasting and Communications. It's really teach you about like editing and how to get good angle shots, and just teaches us how to work good on a computer. And it actually has a very big impact because we record a lot of videos, and we have an editor, but maybe one day I could just help them edit or do the editing by myself.
Yeah, my favorite class right now has to be math, because once you understand it, it gets really easy and it gets a little bit of fun, just like solving the problem out. It's all smoothly. Unless it's a geometry, I don't like geometry. Because right now I'm in
like geometry.
kind of like X and Y. It's slow, but it's easy and it's fun. And also last year I took a photography class, and we also did like editing, like Photoshop. So that actually helped me, because one day I remember my mom just had like a photo of like a shirt on her computer, and it was on Photoshop, and I was like, you know what, let me spice it up a little. So I made the colors more vibrant. I made the photo just look a little bit better, and it was actually good. She actually posted it because it looked a little bit better, and yeah, so that actually helped me with the company.
That's awesome. So I was going to say, yeah, the Photoshop and the video editing, I'm sure you've been able to utilize those skills in your own branding and creating your logo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
I'll get too. I don't know how I can use that in the company.
I understand you're not alone there. Thanks, Moguls. Well, everyone, don't forget that we do have our parents waiting by. I'm excited to bring them in. But one more time, before we bring the moms on, I do just want to remind everyone once again that if you have any questions, go ahead, add them to the Q&A chat, and we'll get to them after we hear from our moms. So I feel like I've teased them up enough. I know we're so excited to finally see who they are. So with us, we have Brayden and Sebastian's mom, Rachel Martinez, and Kamaria's mother, Shawnice. Can you join us on, I already see Rachel's here. Shawnice, if you can join us on camera. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies. Rachel, what has it been like for you supporting Brandon and Sebastian in their entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, it's been a journey, and it's, as I'm sure all the other moms here will agree, it's not easy working with kids, especially not when they're your own. It's kind of like the dad that coaches his own kid on the basketball team, and everyone says don't coach your own kid. It's kind of like the same thing. So you have your ups and downs, but you know, we laugh together, we cry together, we worry together, but at the end of the day, we do it all together. And I think that's really the special part of being able to work with kids and teaching your kids the life lessons that I've learned. So, you know, I've made mistakes already. I've made bad mistakes, good mistakes, and all of those things I'm able to teach my kids. And I think it's just this journey that we're all going through that is setting them up for their future. It's amazing.
Because there's a little bit of the, I've been here before, like, let me help you not make the mistakes or do the things that I have done. Like, exactly. Let me help you a little bit here. Shawnice, what about you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel. Yeah.
I'm telling you this for a reason. I've been there.
They sometimes don't listen, but eventually they will. Shawnice, what about you? What has it been like supporting Kamaria through this journey?
I've loved it. Like she said, I do work at her school, and so we're around each other all day, every day. But one of the things that I love about this journey was just watching her blossom, watching her learn how to open up. We were talking about how shy she used to be, and just learning how to speak and be able to voice her opinions. And I think that was something that she was able to do in business, and it translated to what she's able to do in school, that she's able to, you know, advocate for herself, ask questions, and that erased a lot of the fear and brought more confidence in her.
And sometimes that's all you need, is somebody just kind of give you that boost to like make you feel better in your own skin, which now, Kamaria, you're making a bunch of other brown girls feel better in their own skin. So that's a nice, look, it's like it all comes full circle here.
Yes.
So we actually have Leah's mom with us as well. Leah, could you join the conversation and let us know what it's been like supporting Leah in her journey?
Oh God, I think of my mom right here.
Hi, how are you? Hi, everyone. It's been awesome. You know, it's been really great. As Leah said earlier, we actually started with her brother, and her brother started, you know, doing commercials, and he just had a passion for it. And then Leah was always watching Disney stations and different, you know, channels, and she's very competitive. So she would say things like, I can do that, or, you know, I can do this. And so I eventually started, focusing and trying to mold her and help my kids to, find their, their journey and their destination. So I think it's really great. Sometimes it can be, hard as far as like she was saying earlier with the parts. She went from at 5 with maybe a page or two of, dialogue, where now she can get a 12-page script. And so with this pandemic and trying to do virtual learning and, still trying to audition, you have to keep the kids focused. But I think it's an experience that, I wish I had at 10, I wish we're 11. She wants to make sure we get that extra year in. But it works.
Make sure I'm 11.
11, so it works. I grew up in a family that's, with a lot of entertainers and, actors. So it was something that she grasped very well, and, said to her brother. And me being a radio host, I think she kind of, that helped today. I was trying to help her out of that area, like just do it, just watch mommy sometime. But I think it's great, and I'm inspired by all the young people that I've heard today, and the parents as well, that I'm just so proud of them, the socks and the cookies and the brown girls, because every single young person that I heard today is so important at this time that we're going through, that they continue and not get discouraged, not get thrown off for their focus, and continue their journey, because every last one of them is essential. And just even if you're not in the medical field, what you're doing is essential right now in these times. So I thank Motown, because Motown has been a great inspiration to Leah. Leah's been, I think her brother started, he was in it for 4 years.
I've been there.
And then Leah's been in the program for like 3 years. So it's been really amazing. And I just thank the whole Motown staff and the museum as well.
We appreciate that. And it's exactly what you said. It is a journey. So just continuing everyone here on your path and on your journey. And earlier we heard, it was pretty much a common thread, that there's a little bit of finding the balance between being a kid, but also being an entrepreneur. So we kind of heard from our young moguls angle, but moms, I would love to hear from you. Like Rachel, what's been the greatest challenge from your side, helping to make sure that Brandon and Sebastian still get a childhood, but are still CEOs and a director of sales?
I think one of the biggest challenges is, and it probably started off as a challenge, but now they get it, is explaining to them the importance of yes, you're a kid, yes, you're gonna have fun, but today we have an event, or today we have to go raise money for a charity. And we get them to wake up at 4 a.m. to go event, to go set up, wake up at 5 a.m. We've done that plenty. And it's just reminding them that you're doing this for yourself, for your future, for your family, and for those that we help. So that was a challenge at first, because again, no kid wants to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But when they've done it enough, it just becomes routine for them, and they get it, and they know why they're doing it. There's a reason, and it's for them. And of course, just the regular challenges of trying to get work done, and now get virtual school done, take one to basketball practice, take one to actual school. It's just like we're being pulled in 50 directions, and it's not easy.
Yes, COVID-19 has definitely put a odd twist on something that's already difficult, making it even more difficult. But that's why it's so important to have like your support in helping still make sure that they can, yes, go play basketball today, but also be in this panel and represent their brand.
Right, and it's also, it's changed the way we all do business right now. So we used to do a lot with schools. We would do a lot of school fundraisers. We do a lot of event fundraisers, and it's just changed completely, 100% how we have to think about business right now. We now have to figure out how to find new customers, new online customers, drive people to our website rather than drive people to an event. So it's become very challenging with that now.
And Shanice, would you agree? Do you have similar challenges in kind of giving Kamaria that work-life balance?
One of the things that we were able to do with Kamaria is incorporate her friends in the business, especially like when we have to do the photo shoots. I've always been very clear that we wanted them to be authentic. And so bringing her friends with her and taking those pictures with them being little girls has been very, important for us. Another thing that we did, we had a huge order of 1,300 notebooks that we did for the school district. And she was able to hire 10 of her friends. So they got that balance of being able to come, make some money, but being able to just hang out and have fun with each other. For us, the pandemic has been a little bit different because I feel like it's gifted us the gift of time to relax and step back and do a lot of reflection. Even though we are doing virtual learning, it's been a lot easier to have more flexibility in our schedule and not always be on the go. Because she was doing dance classes, 4 days out of the week. But now we're able to, find the time with school getting out, and have her school schedule is amazing. And we have that time where we can work on the business, and then time where she can just be a kid and hang out and do her chores is a big thing for me. So that's how we've been able to find a balance with the pandemic. The chores are getting done. I love that.
And that's actually a really innovative way to kind of get that balance in by bringing her friends in. It's kind of like wrapping up the work hard, play hard all at one time. That's very innovative. I like that. Leah, what about you? How have you been able to make sure Leah's getting that balance?
Oh, well, she's always clicking. It has been a little bit difficult because, where you're normally, we have to balance it a little bit, because sometimes you can get something and, they need it ASAP. With the virtual, she's hybrid. So some days she's in school and then some days she's at home. And then some of those days you need to study and you have to practice and you have to remember the lines, and then you have to turn on and film. And it doesn't just take one take. It depends on a kid. A child is so unpredictable that you're thinking they're going to be great at this time, and then you start filming and you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be 20 minutes, and now we've been down here 2 hours. And you still have a lot of homework to do. And so we try to balance it out a little bit to where in the morning I try to get her work done, and then I try to go right in to her studying. And then it's a lot different because now where you normally go or you fly for a casting call, everything is Zoom now. So, you have to prepare, and there's a lot of, they have a lot of restrictions. There's a lot of directions you have to do ahead of time. So, it can be a little bit more difficult, just a little bit. But, I think with everything that's going on, we're balancing pretty well. I'm glad that I'm able to be at home where I'm able to help out. And, I think every child now has gotten to the point, at some point, they're kind of losing focus. So I have to go back in there and put the dog down, or, come downstairs, or you come out your room and she got the whole Chromebook in the kitchen trying to get something to eat. I'm like, I thought you were in your room, So you have to really kind of stay on it. We can't just leave them for hours and thinking that they're, Zooming. I have to check periodically, every hour, every 40 minutes, just to make sure that she's staying focused.
Yeah, so I just know you had mentioned being a radio host and how you're kind of like, Leah, just watch and kind of pick up from that. So did you have any business experience before like that you were able to help Leah with, or was it kind of like, we're just going to figure this out as we go?
No, a little bit. Well, my mother and father were playwriters. And so I used to be in plays. And then I had my uncle, Johnny Weatherspoon, and we had a lot of entertainers in the family. So we kind of were, involved in a lot of musicians and, actors in the family. I'm not an actor at all, I can't act at all. But I think when it came to the radio host, sometimes I have to, like Leah mentioned earlier, she had to learn to ad-lib a little bit. And I think her very first scene on Empire, that was very new. That was the first time. And so she was very young. And I remember that script. She actually got that script maybe 5 minutes before the shoot. And so exactly 5. So really she was on set and they told her, dollar bill. She went, I stood to the side for a second. I just kept telling her over and over, Leah, dollar bill, everybody. And she was just going, everybody's looking for something. I said, just keep repeating it over and over again. And so as a little kid, I was nervous for her, but she did it very well. And then as time going, I tried to, incorporate our own personalities. I think our family has a lot of different ways and personalities. So I try to let her be herself. But I think watching others and it's a great inspiration. I'm really into her watching other actors and making sure that you know that this is not it's not easy, but at the same time you want to be natural, you know. So I try to let Leah put her own personality. You know, I don't want it to be so scripted. I try not to. I've never sent her to like a acting school or anything like that. You know, me and my husband, we coach her based on what we think fit her personality, and I kind of let her go herself.
Yeah, so a little bit of that hands-on learning Corey had mentioned earlier, and just having her watch other actresses and actors and being able to pull little tips and tricks from that. Yeah, hands-on for me is the way to go.
Yeah,
So
that's I'm never scripted. When I go on the radio, very few times I'm scripted. I just go right off the cuff because it comes across easier for me.
And yeah, and how like being able to just kind of give how you feel in that moment.
Yeah, I just feed off the crowd.
So Shanice, what about you? Did you have any business experience prior to Kamaria getting started, or was this all a learning experience for you as well?
No, actually, when I graduated from college, I had Kamaria my senior year in college, and so during that time, I couldn't find a job in what I wanted to do, and so my mom has always baked from scratch, and I started a business called Couture Sweets NC, where I would just bake cupcakes for people. So I did that business for about a year or two. And then we started kind of a nonprofit when we entered a business competition called Priceless. And I Am Priceless Foundation. And just, like I was able to take a lot of those lessons from what we did in those businesses into what we're doing with Brown Girl Stationery. So yeah, I think I've always, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I think back to even middle school, I remember I used to sell song lyrics. I don't know why people would buy song lyrics, but I would sell song lyrics for like 25 cents from my locker. I don't know why, but people would always buy them. And then I was able to use all of these lessons and help with Kamaria just building this business now.
And I know there's a little bit of newness in starting any business anyways, but I'm sure having that prior experience is super helpful. And it really is, like you said, it's that having that spirit, that entrepreneurial spirit, that'll really help propel you forward. Rachel, what about you? Did you have any prior experience? Or did you was it a learning experience for you as well?
So I have an advertising sales background. I did it for 12 years. So what I learned in selling, I was able to teach both my kids. And, I always say, if you can sell advertising, you can sell anything, because it's not easy. So I was able to teach the kids the lesson of how to speak to people, how to be persuasive, the lesson of rejection, which is in sales is the best lesson you can learn. And it got to the point where, they would go up to somebody, try and sell them socks. If they'd say no, they're like, okay, on to the next person. So if you put an adult in that situation, 90% of adults are just going to give up after like the first couple no's, but they just continue. They know to just smile and go on to the next person. So that background that I have of sales has helped them. I mean, it's really been what's taught them to just go out there and smile, be yourself, and just talk to people. Sell yourself, sell your product.
And in hearing Brandon talk about him never being a shy kid, like it sounds like that background really did resonate with him, and him just being willing to go up to talk to people. So it definitely sounds like it is translated and it is paid off.
Definitely, because in sales, if you're not able to go out there and sell, someone else is going to go and step over you and get that customer. And kind of like Kamario's mom, later on, after we started this company, I realized that, I had my own entrepreneurial spirit when I was a kid too. I used to sell Airheads out of my backpack in middle school. But not until, a few years ago that I put two and two together. I'm like, wait a second, I used to do the same thing, where I'd have my dad go to Costco and buy the big thing of Airheads, stick them in my backpack and sell them to all my friends for 25 cents. And I realized again later on in life that that's what I was trying to teach my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Moms, I've got one more question before I let you all go. I just want to hear what advice you have for fellow parents that have an entrepreneur in their life that they're supporting. Rachel, let's start with you.
So I think this goes for parents that have an entrepreneur kid that they're supporting, or for parents that don't know if they have an entrepreneur kid, but just listen to your kids. See, what are your kids' passions? If your kid likes to cook, if your kid likes to watch you cook, you know what? Invite them in the kitchen, show them how to cook. Maybe you can make something out of it. If they like to paint, just listen to what your kids love. Like Sebastian loved socks. He used to go every day to school with a new pair of socks and do a fashion show. So I found this passion that he had, and we created a family business. And it's not that difficult. You don't need to be rich to do it. We definitely were not. It's just, you have to have that passion. You have to see it in your kids, and you have to want and be able to do it side by side. It's gonna either be a hobby or it's gonna be a business, one or the other. But see what your kids love.
So parents out there, if you're taking notes, listen to your kids. Shawnice, what about you? What advice do you have?
I would say not to be so focused on the failures. I think that fear of failure is what will kind of cripple our kids from wanting to try something new and step out and be, an entrepreneur. But one thing that I've learned when it comes to failures is it's just a lesson learned. And then you're able to apply it somewhere else and do something even better and bigger than what you originally planned. So just encourage your kids to make those mistakes. I think that's a big piece of it, just encouraging them. We don't always have to save them. Like, let them learn, be there to support them when they're learning, but let them learn on their own.
So yeah, a little bit of that trial by error and not focusing on those failures will help you celebrate the small wins that builds up to the larger victories. That's great advice. Last but not least, Leah, what advice do you have for our parents?
I like what both of the mothers said. Follow your, watch your children and see what their passion is. Like you said, your hobby can be your business. A lot of things that, we find to be an everyday hobby can end up being a multi-million-dollar business. Leah loved pajamas, so she asked me recently, she want to start her own pajama line, and I
have a name for it
too. Yeah, she had her name, everything. So I told her, I said, if that's something that you like, and everybody's at home now, so loungewear probably is very, popular right now. But I think to just follow and just to make sure that they stay on the right path, because I think if you stunt their growth or you tell them, even if it's something that you may not think they're just great at, like you said, you don't knock them, you continue on, and then they will find out themselves, is that area for me? If someone wants to sing and you think, oh, they can't sing, don't say, that's just not your thing, let them continue on and let them find out they can't sing, or even let them find out, you do have a voice, maybe it's different than somebody else's. So I think, just a matter of following what your kids, watching them and keeping them on track. And then, like Rachel said, it doesn't take a lot of money. There's a lot of doors that are open out there. There are a lot of opportunities, and we're thankful for the internet. We're thankful for YouTube. There's so much that you can find out. There's so much information and opportunities out there with the promoting now that you can do a lot these days.
That's excellent advice. Thank you, moms, so much for joining us and joining in the conversation today. You've all done an amazing job raising fantastic and successful children. I know you're all just beaming with pride, as you absolutely should be, because your young moguls are truly exceptional. So thank you again, moms, for joining us. So everyone, we have heard from our young moguls, we have heard from their support systems, but we want to hear from you. We do have time for 2 questions from the Q&A chat, so let's take a look. So Kamaria, Stephanie Prince asks, how do you stay positive to overcome when adults don't take you seriously? What can adults do better?
Well, I would say adults could do a bit better when it comes to a kid actually talking about something, maybe just because they are having a business for a particular race, that it's not actually rude or anything, or rude to another race. It's just saying that this is what I do because I am that skin color. It may be not really criticize kids as much. I mean, criticism is sometimes good because it helps you become a better person. I know a lot of people will sometimes say something, but I'm like, okay, that's actually good that they commented that. It may be a bit bad, but I can use that, but maybe not like when you think about it. I remember my first fake comment was actually when I was about 8, and it was a bit rude because you are at a young age, and I could understand maybe a bit like 15 up because it's more mature, but I would say 11 and under, some people will take your comment the wrong way. So maybe when it comes to criticism or a comment, make sure that what you're saying is okay for a younger kid to hear.
That's really good advice, Kamaria. Corey, what about you? How do you stay positive to overcome when adults don't take you seriously, and what can adults do better?
Whenever it gets adults don't take me serious, I just keep smiling, eat a cookie, always be happy. And then what else? Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Doesn't really affect me a lot.
And say, I guess you could supply the cookies that they need to eat, huh?
Yeah.
Brandon and Sebastian, what about you? What could adults do better?
What adults can do better is actually take the time to actually listen and pay attention to us and actually like care, because some adults just see us and they're like, oh, they're just kids, and just walk past because they don't care and they don't think we're being successful. They don't think we're going to go anywhere. They take the time to listen and see what we have to offer. They could change their mind. You're like, wow, these kids are doing something.
Yeah, and another reason you can, when adults don't take you seriously when you're trying to sell them your product, is when they say no or just walk away, you could just like take advantage of that, because then when there's a lot of people like at say we're at an event, like they're at our like 10 where they're buying the socks, maybe that dude maybe the guy will see like all the customers there and be like, oh wow, they're not just playing, they're actually trying to make a business out of this. So and I will get a pair of socks. So that is another way.
That's great. And Leah, what about you? What could adults do better in your opinion?
Like for me, like it's kind of hard, but not hard, because like people have different acting skills, and people have different shows that they do. Like they have comedian shows, they have like very science shows and stuff and things, and like series and shows and movies, and I don't know if you heard of it, but like Impractical Jokers, like that's like a reality show, and Christy Knows Best, like that's like reality shows and stuff. And it's not really acting, but like like they're on shows and stuff. But like say for me, like I'm a young kid, and say like I have my own TV show, like even though I'm a kid, like people should still watch it though, like because like you can see a kid like how Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, when they sell cookies and stuff, like people just look at them when they sell their cookies and stuff, like just like Corey, when he sells his cookies and things, like people might be like, oh no, thank you, like I'm good and stuff, like when they come to the door. But what they should actually do, because those cookies, like I know they're good, because like cookies are very good and stuff and things, but like people are just like to little kids are just like, oh okay, well maybe if your business comes up more and I hear about it on the Shade Room or all these other things, or Fox 2 News, then maybe I'll get it. Like you don't have to be fully rich and fully celebrity to have your sale go and have big customers. Like people should actually try them and see how they are, so they can see how their stamina is and what they do in life.
And Leah, that's a great point, because that's kind of why, another reason we're kind of doing this panel here today, because you young Moguls have so much to teach everyone. And so that's why we want to hear from you all. So that's a really great point. We have time for one more question from the Q&A chat. Corey, let's start with you. Morris Porter asks, many entrepreneurs have never attended college. Do you guys and gals intend on going to college?
Yes. I think college is very important. School is a very important thing. Even though a lot of people say now college isn't, important. You have a business, you already have something to do. It's very important to do because just say you never know, your business fails somehow, automatically it just drops out of nowhere. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna try to restart it again. Yeah, but it's gonna take time. So it's always good to have something, a backup plan, so you can get a job and you can be employed. And it's always good to learn. And also, plus college is good to learn for law because you read your contracts. You must know how to read your contracts, so you're gonna get all jerked around and everything. So you have to also learn a lot of stuff. So I think college
Absolutely.
is very important.
It would be an additional learning experience. Kamaria, what about you? Do you plan on going to college?
Well, since I was 8 or 9, I believe, I've always wanted to go to FAMU. And I really just want to go to college, even not to just do entrepreneurship, because I can always keep this as a side job so I can get double the money in my income so I can pay bills and just keep everything in order. And if I go to college, well, I want to go to college just so I can learn more things and get more experience in other majors. And my major would probably be visual arts and fashion, because ever since I was little, I've always liked to draw clothes. And when I was little, I drew costumes, because I've always wanted to be like a fashion designer or a costume designer for a show, because those get a lot of money and stuff. So I most definitely want to go to college.
And that seems like the perfect kind of next step if you're designing characters right now for Brown Girl Stationery coming into fashion. It seems like the perfect escalation for what's next. Brandon and Sebastian, what about you? Do you guys plan on going to college?
And for me, it really depends, because if our business is doing like really successful, we're making millions every year, there's really no point in going to college if you're making that much money. But if things go wrong, or if I really want to like go play for like on a college basketball team, yeah, I'll probably do college. But if we're doing successful, I don't really see a point.
Absolutely. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's whatever you feel is best for where you are at that point in your life. Leah, what about you? Do you plan on attending college?
Yes, I actually planning on going to college. I plan on going to Harvard. I still plan on doing acting and stuff and things, but also I want to be a gynecologist, because like I really want to help people, help with their babies, and I love seeing little babies. And also for my uncle and my auntie and my little cousin, little Nick, who lives right across from me, they have 2 little twins. I want to go over there like every day and just like see them and babysit them. When I go over there, like I'd be like, "Hi, Jesse and Jacob! Oh my gosh, they're so cute!" And what's so funny is that like even the first time when I saw them, I kind of already knew which one was Jesse and Jacob, and they look exactly the same. I just love it very much. And but I heard that also, like when you go to college, it's like 4 years, but when you're a gynecologist, is 8 years. So like if I mix like already that college with the gynecologist college, that's like 12 years of college, which is very long. But like like there's colleges that's doing Zoom and stuff and stuff, so I can just like either do I could just either go to college and do Zoom in there, or stay at home with my family and do college from there.
I would definitely say COVID has really upped the amount of virtual learning that is made available now. So thank you everyone for your thoughtful questions. We only have a few moments left. So before we let our panelists go, I do just want to ask them one more question to leave us with a few parting thoughts. Sebastian or Brandon, could you give us 2 to 3 resources that every entrepreneur should take advantage of?
Well, first of all, they should take advantage of social media like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that, to get their, to show off their brand, get to a new audience. And also another resource they can take advantage of is TVs, like TV shows like news, because a bunch of people watch the news. My parents watch the news all the time, and I know like a bunch of people's parents watch the news. So that's a great outlet to go to get your business.
And one resource, another resource is to meet new people, because you never know who this person is. He might be he might know a very famous person that could help you out with your business. And just meeting new people, because you always want to be nice to everyone, so they can like, maybe they'll buy socks. And So I think that's a very important resource. Just taking advantage, not taking advantage, but like just always meeting is like if you go to an event, you always want to go to every person and see if they want to buy a sock, or just hand them out a business card so they know who you are.
The importance of networking and building that network, absolutely. Kamaria, what resources do you have that you think every entrepreneur should take advantage of?
Well, one of my resources would be this book. As I said earlier, my favorite subject is social studies, and I like to learn about other entrepreneurs. This book is full of, it's called Girl CEO, and it's full of a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, actors, and just everything that you need to start a business and hear other people's journey. And then my next one would be this book by Marley Diaz. It shows her journey, and she owns a business called 100 Black Girl Books. So she shows a lot of different books. So that has a book full of resources. So it's plenty of resources. And then you also want to have a good personality when starting a business, because not everyone will want to buy a business if you're a bit rude. And you always want to persuade them. So having a good personality really helps with the business.
Yes, and it absolutely helps with customer service as well, I'm sure. Corey, what about you? What resources do you think every entrepreneur should take advantage of?
I think every entrepreneur should always take advantage of what the government gives to small business help, small business administration, grants, loans, also private, grants and everything. Also, Google and YouTube, books, reading. All the stuff, going to different businesses, asking questions. There's so many things you could do and use to take advantage of, TV shows, everything, marketing. It's a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. Leah, what about you?
I think they should take resources of a lot of things like Instagram, just like Sebastian and Brandon said, like Instagram, YouTube, and especially TikTok. Like that's a lot of people on there. And just like I don't know, like if you guys all have TikTok, but like this is girl named Holly D'Amelio. She already has 102.2 million followers, which is a lot for TikTok, because like, and also we heard that Trump was gonna ban TikTok, and it's so hard for people to now make business because in social studies we have like debates and things where where like it's on Scholastic News, and we look at it, and there was one debate where it's like, should people do online shopping or no? I said personally for myself, yes, because people out here, they need money these days, because they're shutting down businesses, they're shutting down a lot of restaurants and things, and I think that they should still keep their work going. And like if I think that they should also create new things instead of just one, because like I mean like and they could keep the same thing, but like just like Sebastian and Brandon they have this sock business, and Corey has his cookie business, and she has her brown skin girl thing. I think that like they should create another one, like instead of socks, like they should do backpacks, and instead of cookies, like maybe macaroons or like different types of candy or things. And for me, like maybe singing and not acting, because I already have acting, but like singing, rapping, and theater and stuff, because like you never know what's gonna happen. Like you can have one big thing and then automatically it shuts down, and then you already have something else that's already going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely good to have.
Definitely. Absolutely. Those are great resources. And everyone, that is all we have time for today. I can't believe it's already 12:30. A huge thank you to the W.K. Kellogg Foundation and Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. This program was made possible with their generous support. And I also want to thank our panelists and our moms for joining us and sharing their knowledge and insights. And of course, our lovely host, Leah, for leading today's conversation. But most importantly, I want to thank everyone who joined us and joined in the audience. This was so beneficial and insightful, and I can't wait to continue to watch what these young moguls do next. So before I let you all go, we do have a little treat. Each of these young moguls have offered discounts for everyone who has joined in today. So I encourage you all to take advantage and support our panelists. We're going to pull up those discount codes now. and share their websites with you all, as well as post the information in the chat. But I do recommend either taking a picture of the chat or the screen we're about to pull up now so that you do all have it. We hope you all join us for our next quarterly forum in March. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.